Good day and welcome to Real Talk with Hadassah Chen. There are some events that can happen in our life and change it forever, for the good or for not the good. Chas v'shalom. I guess it's up to us what we will make out of it, because in the end, all that Hashem does for us is for our good. Well, my next guest, when he was only 6 years old, he saw here in Jerusalem a bus blowing up in front of his eyes. He saw bodies flying, people screaming and dying. He could have been scarred for life. He could have used this negative event as an excuse for his failures, for his fears, for taking drugs one day. He didn't. This horrible sight as a child pushed him to ask some questions, like how can people be saved on time? And what can we do so the ambulance gets fast enough between all the traffic and chaos in the city? He was 6 years old. This little boy became Eli Beer, who is the founder of United Hatzalah of Israel and president of the US-based organization Friends of United Hatzalah. United Hatzalah of Israel is an independent, nonprofit, fully volunteer emergency medical services organization that provides fast and free emergency medical first response throughout Israel in partnership of Jewish, Muslim, Druze, and Christian volunteers from all religious spectrums working together in order to save lives. Oh, and that thought of his, trying to figure out how an ambulance will get fast to any accident scene made him come up a few years later with the AmbuCycle, ambulance, motorcycle, with full medical equipment carried by a regular ambulance, with the exception of a backboard, stair chair, and bed. Eli Beer has been on TED Talk and has received many awards and prizes for his incredible innovation and transformation in various fields, including Social Entrepreneur of the Year, Young Global Leader, Davos, and the Prize for Peace in the Middle East, to name a few. The Hatzalah events in Israel are now famous, with big singers like Shweki, Avram Fried, Mordechai Ben David. Enough. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so honored to have here Eli Beer. Good day.
I'm honored to be with you. Thank you.
Just, you know, you are a very well-known figure, especially here in Israel. But when you really delve into your story, it's just, I don't know, for sure one day a movie will come out, something will be made of you, of your story. But let's start from the end. Firstly, Mazal Tov for your daughter.
Thank you very much.
I know you just had a wedding, so thank you again for even being here. The man who saved lives, superhero, just recovered himself. Let's start from there. I know you got sick. We were all praying for you with Corona. You found yourself on the other side. How does it feel?
Well, first of all, I was a healthy person. I never had any conditions or medical conditions before, so I never imagined I'll get sick. You know, I was always helping other people, treating other people, and I ended up finding myself in the ICU department, a brand new department, in March 2020 in Miami. So laying there, and can't breathe. I need oxygen, and all of a sudden I need doctors to come help me figure out how to start breathing properly. I turned from the lifesaver to the one who needs to be saved.
Exactly.
And it was a transformation, a really hard one. It wasn't easy. But
And you were there alone. You had no family.
All alone. My kids, my family, everyone was in Israel. My friends, I have a lot of good friends in Miami, and they couldn't come visit. So, of course, I was using the phone as much as I could, but it's hard for me even to talk on the phone because I didn't have any oxygen. The COVID-19 hit me really, really bad. And I found myself fighting for every breath.
You left a message that really hit me when you were really sick, and you said, in case I don't make it, you have to continue this work. This is what was going through your mind all the time, Hatzalah, your baby?
Yeah. I was, I started volunteering when I was 15 years old. And then when I was young, I started United Hatzalah. It was another format before, but eventually it became to what it is today, the fastest medical response in the world. And I fight for it every day. I travel, I work for it. I really put all my heart and soul into it. And when I was laying there in bed, I said, if I don't survive, what's going to be with United Hatzalah? And I was thinking, my family will be okay. My 5 kids. I had a married daughter then. She was supposed to have a baby. I was supposed to be turning to grandfather. I was really worried about that. I wanted to be a grandfather. But I was worried about what's going to be with 6,000 volunteers who have to save lives. They need oxygen, they need equipment, and especially in this crazy conditions then. So I begged people on video. I said, I'm probably not going to survive. And the doctors told me I have a very small chance of making it out, and I need to use all my credits. And I said, pray for me.
You had plenty.
I said to everyone, pray for me. And if God forbid I don't survive, continue supporting United Hatzalah.
They told you they were going to put you to sleep, and you weren't sure if you were going to wake up. You woke up, you made it back to Israel. How was that moment when you touched Israel land again and saw your family?
So, I never thought I'll see Israel again. So I didn't expect it too much. So when I woke up, it took me time to get back to myself. I was 30 days in a coma on a ventilator. I had incredible people praying, like you and many others who were just praying around the world, and people were doing chesed for me, good deeds. A lot of people took upon themselves to do an extra good deed, including my doctors, who said to me, what can we do for you? I said, do a good deed for me. Non-Jewish doctors, most of them. And
I have the shivers.
They were like saying, we're going to do something special for you. And I told them, of course, everything about United Hatzalah, so all were blown away from the idea. And when I woke up, I saw the world changed. The world shut down. No flights going back to Israel. And how do I get back to Israel? And all of a sudden I get a phone call from Miriam Adelson. Sheldon was with her, Zichrono Livracha. And she said, you have to go back to Israel. We're going to fly you back to Israel. I was like, it's a 14-hour flight. How am I going to pay you back for a flight like this? It's very expensive. And I would never forget her words. Her words were, Eli, if you go back to saving lives, that's the way you pay me back. And when I landed in Israel with that plane, and I saw over 1,000 volunteers waiting for me, first I thought it was my funeral.
You were dreaming, and
I was thinking, what's going on here? I have a beautiful funeral they arranged for me. But afterwards, I started pinching myself. I saw them alive, and it was just incredible to see my family, my friends, my United Hatzalah volunteers. And I said, I have to go back to saving lives, like I promised.
You were like a father figure for all these volunteers. Like, do you? I mean, you can't know them all, but they know you all. You're a reference for all of them. You're an image. You're somebody to look up to. You feel like it's your family. These are your kids. Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't know everyone's names. It's funny. My own kids, I get confused all the time at 5. So it's hard to keep a hand over 6,000 people, but I love them like children.
Yeah.
And they come from so many different backgrounds. And I see them and I give them a hug every single time. And I say, Toda Rabba for doing what you're doing. And they say to me, thank you so much for letting us do. I say, what are you talking about? And they really feel what I feel towards them, they feel towards me. And I would do anything for them, and they would do anything for me. And we feel like it's like one big family, United Hatzalah. To go 3 o'clock in the morning to treat a 90-year-old lady you don't even know. And it's not over at 3 o'clock in the morning. You come back home, you can't go back to sleep.
Right.
The adrenaline kicks in. So you destroy your next day of work.
Right.
But even during the work, you have to start going out to emergencies too. And they meet me in the emergencies. I go out, treat people many times, and I'm working, doing CPR, and someone else on the volunteers are looking at me and say, Eli Beer, you're with us? Like, they shock. Yes, I am. This is why I wear my Hatzalah vest everywhere.
Incredible.
I don't come with a suit and tie to get interviewed by you, because this is my uniform.
This is the best.
And this is what I have next to my bed, and this is what I have in my car. And if I drive an ambicycle, it's with me, just in case someone needs my help.
This is a true leader, creating leaders. I want guys who are young now, and not that you are old, but younger, and see you as somebody. You were 15 and you had an idea, and this idea became a huge reality. How do you do this? How does it go from that point? Was it because you were stubborn, because you were... What was the thing that drove you to become such a huge sensation, apart from your hard work? I mean, you need people to believe in you. It's not easy.
Well, I think I have many examples like this. This is not the only one, but I think United Health is very unique on believing on a concept that did not exist before. Everywhere in the world they have ambulances.
Right.
In Uganda they have ambulances, in the United States they have ambulances, in France, in Israel they had ambulances. They did a good job transporting people, but they didn't do a good enough job saving people. Meaning it's not their fault, it's just the fact that someone that needed to be saved was too far.
Yeah.
So if someone in Gilo, which is in Jerusalem, had a heart attack or stopped breathing or a baby was choking, by the time we arrived as ambulance crew, when I was a volunteer in Magen David Adom as a young kid, unfortunately most of the times we ended up saying
We didn't make it.
the person didn't survive, and the doctor had to sign a death certificate. And it was devastating every single time because we realized that we were the first ones arriving to the scene. And why wasn't anyone before us? The neighbor might be a doctor or the nurse. Why don't we call the people all around to respond to emergencies before ambulances? And that's where the idea started here in Yerushalayim, and it just spread like fire around the country. And we disrupted the system that exists in Israel. The system was existing, but it wasn't fast enough. And we wanted to be there in 90 seconds. So the whole reason United Health exists is to build another system that's focused on the fast 90-second response. Ambulances are needed and we'll come and take them to the hospital, of course. But if the ambulance comes after 3 minutes or after 15 minutes, it wouldn't make a difference because we will be there after 90 seconds.
This system exists only in Israel?
No, this system actually is existing in many countries around the world. In New York, it's all over the Orthodox communities. It's not called United Health, it's called Hatzalah of New York, Hatzalah of Los Angeles. We helped in many cases to start Hatzalah in places that did not exist, like in Panama, in Ukraine now, and other countries that we're helping them to start. But the idea should just spread all around it. It's just a simple idea. You live wherever you live. Your next door neighbor, chas v'shalom, God forbid, is choking.
Right.
You may know how to save that person's life, your neighbor's life, and they call for an ambulance. That ambulance will come for sure after you. But if you know that your neighbor is choking, you would run and save them.
But did you get to this idea yourself when you were?
We developed it ourselves, although in New York they had it already in the Orthodox communities, like in Williamsburg and Borough Park, in Lower East Side. They had Hatzalah, but we weren't really connected to the idea. We just came because we were in the ambulance system here. I started when I was 15 years old to volunteer in the ambulance.
Right.
And I saw the system something's missing.
Something's missing.
The ambulances are always first on scene, but never on time. On time means before brain damage, before death.
Right.
And that's what we wanted to fix, and that's what United Hatzalah is all about.
What was the hardest moment that you had to face in your career of life-saving?
Bureaucracy. Especially in Israel.
I'm not shocked.
I'm here sitting in an interview in Arutz Sheva. You're too young to know the history of Arutz Sheva, but I do remember. They started very much like Arutz Sheva started as a disruptive radio. You had to be on the boat, I think. You were on a boat originally, right?
Yeah.
Not you, but originally Arutz Sheva started. It was a different reason. You wanted to bring out the news that, resonates to certain people that didn't have any news. You had the news that then the system wanted you to hear.
Right.
And someone came and said, no, I don't like this idea. I want to start something new.
Yeah.
And get people that believe in something else to listen. But they couldn't do it because bureaucracy was killing them. And they had to go get a boat and be outside of the Israel territory and broadcast towards Israel. Now you're legitimate and everyone's listening to this interview, at least 2 million people. Because
and we have a beautiful studio.
30 years ago or so, Arutz Sheva started as a disruptive radio station broadcasted from the ocean. United Hatzalah is very similar, but in a life-saving method. Israel, like many other countries, has systems that people don't want to change. for comfort reason.
Right.
Unions, which are important, but they're wrong when it comes to life-saving. You need to have young organizations break the system and develop new things. You can't have one organization controlling everything. And same thing, you don't want to have one bank. You don't want to have one hospital. Imagine you have one hospital in Jerusalem.
Right.
That hospital would be in terrible service because no competition. The fact that young people came, we were very young. I was 15, 16 when I started. And they have 6,000 volunteers. A lot of them are still with me from the original. And we're going out and we're getting there and so quick. It taught the others how to behave and actually get better. And it brought the system in. Many more lives were saved. Millions of people were helped and saved because of this idea.
But competition is good. It's not that you're working against each other. I mean, when you say MADA and the United Hatzalah, you're for the same reason. You're trying to save lives.
Yeah, we're both very important systems. But originally when we started, we had a very, very hard time because, don't forget, MADA is an ambulance system that's here almost 100 years.
Right.
And you pay for service. You have to pay for the transport of the ambulance, either through the Kupat Cholim or directly.
Oh, yeah. I know that.
So if you don't pay, you're in trouble. We come and we don't charge you for the oxygen, checking blood pressure, or transporting to the hospital. We do it for free. So it's a little, we had a little, but it was good for us. We were built much stronger that way.
And then you have these amazing events that I see here with famous actors and celebrities. And how do you get to this? Like, is it your charm? Is it your strength? What do you say?
Look, I have you as a celebrity interviewing me.
Well,
it's just amazing. I remember the first time I met a celebrity, and I said, I don't care about a picture with him. I want to use that celebrity to leverage United
you can
Hatzalah.
see that. This comes very much across.
Yeah.
Your strength to get them to where you want.
I want them to be part of my belief that lives are important. We need to unite. Even so, you're a celebrity and I'm nothing. I'm just a simple guy. I met Alan Dershowitz once. He's a big celebrity.
Yeah.
And he was in a very fancy event. I was there. He didn't know me. And I walked over to him. I said, Professor Dershowitz, could I ask you for a favor? He said, what is it? I asked, could you join our board of United Hatzalah? He turns around, he says, he thought I'm crazy.
Right.
He says, I don't join any boards. I said, listen, we have a 90-second goal, and I promise you that if you join our board, we will save more lives that way, and we will get to our goal. And he turns around. He was about to walk away already. He turns around and he says, I'm in. It took me 2 minutes and convincing one of the greatest lawyers in the world. And I think the same thing with Jay Leno.
Jay Leno, great.
Jay Leno is not a Jewish guy, but he has a very good, strong feeling for Israel, for Jews. He worked with Jews in the Catskills. And he said to me when I saw him, I said, you love cars.
Yeah.
I don't love cars. I don't love anything. I just love saving lives. But I use cars and I use motorcycles to get to my goal, saving lives.
Amazing.
And I said, I want you involved. And he joined our board. Slowly, that's how I did. And once you come to someone and you get them to believe in your mission, and then make them to believe it's their mission too, because it is.
How does it feel every morning to get up and knowing that you're doing good? This is your job. This is your mission. I mean, it must be I felt so useless after I saw all the videos and I said, okay, what am I doing? I'm just, it must be amazing.
First of all, who told you I go to sleep?
Got me.
I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I see the updates from the United Hatzalah dispatch, how many emergency calls were in the night, every morning.
How does your wife and your family deal with this? Does she know when you got married that she's marrying an organization? Oh, she has your passion.
Great, I love what you said, because my wife's my second wife. Gitti is my second wife.
Okay.
Because when she married me, she married United Hatzalah too. I was married already to United Hatzalah.
So what did I miss here?
So you asked me actually that question, if she knew what she's getting into. She actually knew, because I was a volunteer when I was 15, 16, and she was my next door neighbor.
Oh.
So she used to see me come
Oh,
with ambulances.
that's beautiful.
And I used to see it. I used to punk to her with the siren to impress her.
Oh, that's so cute.
And so she actually liked the fact that I was a volunteer in an ambulance. And I used to run out every day to emergencies on Shabbat dinners. My kids grew up seeing me run out to save lives and come back with an incredible satisfaction feeling.
Adrenaline also, yeah.
And my daughter, Abigail, who just got married Sunday, she's 25. She joined United Health when she's 19 years old as a volunteer. And now she's in nursing school. And she's a terrific volunteer. She saved hundreds of lives. And she met her husband, Aaron, while she was treating a 17-year-old boy who was in a terrible accident in Jerusalem. And she was working to save this boy's life. Unfortunately, while the CPR happened, Aaron came. He's a volunteer from Tiberias. And he sees her working alone. He was the second one, and he gives her the first thing he says, take a napkin to wipe. She was so sweaty. And then they were working together, and after this kid was transported to the hospital, he didn't make it in the end. Abigail was so heartbroken, so he said, let's go have coffee. And they got married Sunday. A boy from Tiberias who volunteers at United Hatzalah, and a girl from...
So Hatzalah doesn't only save lives, it makes also shidduchim.
Many. I can guarantee anyone who needs a shidduch come volunteer. Or support, either one.
Support, absolutely. Eli, I don't know what to say. I had goosebumps, I laughed, I am inspired, which I think is important. I really think people will be inspired by the way I was from your story. And what's coming for Hatzalah?
What's coming? First of all, we're getting our volunteers not only to be professional in life-saving, we're getting them to help more and more in psychotrauma help. People who are traumatized, emotionally traumatized. In
like
events,
mental
traumatized. People that were in a car accident and they saw people die, or in a terror attack, or chas v'shalom, what happened in Miami.
Right.
We send people immediately to these scenes to help out with these situations, to reduce the amount of trauma on their neshama.
Wow, this is incredible.
And help them cope with it. And
it's out already?
It's out there. We have a group called Chosen, the Psychotrauma Unit. We have 600 volunteers who are trained. And my goal is to make sure that United Hatzalah is not only the first in saving lives, but saving the soul. And some people, they just need someone to talk to for 10, 15 minutes to change their life.
That's incredible.
And this is really first aid, for people's souls.
Right.
And we're doing that more and more now. And hopefully this thing is going to go worldwide as well.
Incredible. So, firstly, good luck in what you're doing. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of amazing events with many more celebrities dying to be part of this.
This is incredible. Before COVID, you remember we used to do these things?
I was just thinking, wow.
This is
like
my wife and an Arab volunteer of United Hatzalah.
Incredible.
Haredi,
so inspiring.
People from Judea and Samaria, Hasidim, and Jay Leno, and Mark Gerson, our chairman, Mark and Erica Gerson. It's just amazing to see the variety of people.
And everybody's excited. They want to be.
See, Amy Cornvase from Texas. I miss them and love them so much. It's just amazing.
I have no words. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Good luck. Mazal tov.
And
Enjoy your cup.
with my new cup I got here.
L'chaim. Chin chin, you say in
Real
Italian.
talk. L'chaim.
Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed it. And I wait for the next interview. Bye.